For 20 years, after the assassins defeated the Templars in London, the city enjoyed a certain peace until the Autumn of Terror. In 1888, London is plunged into shadow and fear by a series of gruesome and unsolvable murders. The brothels of Whitechapel seem warm and safe by comparison to its streets, where prostitutes are being mutilated and left on grotesque display for the world to ogle. Jacob Fry hunts the elusive killer to bring an end to the terror of Jack the Ripper.
Hello and welcome to another Story Explained video on Not Watch Me. Today we are plunging into grim blood-soaked alleys of Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Jack the Ripper DLC, a chilling expansion that's easily one of the most disturbing in gaming history, with its brutal murders, psychological horrors, and haunting ties to real-world atrocities. This DLC left me shook. We'll unpack its twisted story, dive into the history behind it, and explore why it's so unsettling. So grab a hidden blade and let's dive into the Autumn of Terror.
Now, I will hunt you down.
It's 1888 Whitechapel, London, and the city is paralyzed by fear. Jack the Ripper's on a killing spree, slashing through the slums and leaving mutilated bodies in his wake. You play as Evie Fry, the stealthy assassin from Syndicate, who's back in London after training in India. She's hunting Jack, a shadowy killer who's not just a historical monster, but here's a gut punch, an assassin gone rogue, trained by Evie's brother, Jacob. The story kicks off with Evie meeting Inspector Frederick Eberline, a real-life detective who investigated the Ripper case. He's desperate, and Evie's eagle vision is perfect for tracking clues in Whitechapel's foggy, filtrated streets. At the first crime scene, Mary Ann Nicholas, one of the real canonical 5 victims, Jack's an assassin, and he's taunting her, turning the Brotherhood's creed into a nightmare. Evie's hunt takes us through vortices, opium dens, and back alleys, each step revealing Jack's descent into madness. He's targeting prostitutes, leaving cryptic notes, and killing anyone who gets close, including assassins. The stakes skyrocket when Jack kidnaps Jacob, holding him in the Lambeth Asylum, a real-world-inspired hellhole of screams and blood. Evie infiltrates the asylum, finding Jack turned into a torture chamber, with inmates as his twisted experiments. In a heart-pounding climax, Evie confronts Jack in the asylum's depths. He's unhinged, ranting about cleansing London and spitting venom at the assassins. The creed is a lie, Evie. You fight for nothing. With Jack's knife flashing in the dark, Evie takes him down, but it's no victory. Jacob's traumatized, Whitechapel's scarred, and the city's still bleeding. The DLC ends on a grim note, with Evie questioning if she could have stopped Jack sooner. That's the bare bones of the plot, but this DLC is so much more than a murder mystery. It's a psychological gut punch that blends real history with Assassin's Creed lore. Let's break it down and see why it's so disturbingly unforgettable. To understand why this DLC hits so hard, let's talk 1888 London. Whitechapel was a slum overcrowded, reeking of sewage and riddled with poverty. The real Jack the Ripper killed at least 5 women between August and November 1888. The murders were gruesome, often involving mutilating, and the killer was never caught. The DLC nails this, using real victims, names, and crime scenes, making every step feel like you are walking through history's darkest pages. Victorian London was a powder keg. The rich ignored the poor. Police were seen as corrupt tools of elite, and newspapers hyped the Ripper case to sell copies. The DLC captured this chaos, crowd panic, Aberline's overwhelmed, and fear chokes the city. It's not just a murder that disturbs. It's the sense that Whitechapel's suffering is ignored by those in power. The game's spear-toned visuals, dripping blood, and eerie fog make every corner feel like a nightmare. Jack's DLC twisted core. And good lord, is he unsettling. We learn he's Whitechapel orphan, hardened by life of violence and poverty. Jacob Fry took him in, training him as an assassin, but Jack's psyche was already fractured by 1888. Believing his killing purified London, his notes, "I am the blade in the shadows," mocked the assassin creed, turning their ideals into a sick justification for slaughter. What makes Jack so disturbing is how human he feels. He's not a cartoon villain. He's a product of Whitechapel despair and the assassin failure to guide him. His asylum rant calling the creed a lie hit hard because they echoed real doubt about morality and purpose. The DLC voice acting and motion captures tell his madness, making every encounter feel like brush with evil. Jack's not just a killer, he's a mirror of what the assassin could become. Evie's our anchor in this horror show. and she carries the story weight. At 40, she's a master assassin, but Jack's betrayal shakes her to the core. Her stealth gameplay, spiking enemies from above, vanishing into crowds, feels desperate, like racing against time. Evie's guilt is palpable. She tells Abeline, "I should have seen the sign. He was one of us." It's heartbreaking to see her question her life's work as she wades through blood and fog. Evie's arc is what makes the DLC so emotionally raw. She's not just fighting Jack, she's battling her own failures and fears that Assassin's Creed might be flawed. Her new fear tactics, like brutal finishers, reflect her darker mindset. Yet she never loses her compassion, helping figures like Nellie, prostitute ally. Evie's strength in the face of horror makes her stand out, but her pain makes the story hit home. The Lambeth Asylum. The asylum where the DLC goes full horror and is nightmare fuel. Based on real Victorian asylums, its labyrinth of rusted stone, bloodstained floor, and tortured screams. Jack made it his playground, experimenting on inmates in a sick parody of justice. The flickering lights, distant veils, and Jack's taunt over the intercom create a suffocating dread. Sneaking through feels like descent into hell, with every shadow hiding a threat. What's so disturbing here isn't just the gore, it's the human cost. Inmates beg for help, their minds broken by Jack's cruelty. The DLC doesn't shy away from showing how society abandoned these people, mirroring Whitechapel's neglect. It's a gut punch that elevates the horror beyond cheap scares, making you feel the weight of every step. The DLC is tied to real history. It's what seals its disturbing legacy. The Ripper case wasn't just a crime, it's a cultural wound. The victims were real women, often forgotten by society, and the DLC honors them by weaving their stories into Evie's hunt. For example, Annie Chapman murder scene is recreated with chilling accuracy down to the alley's layout. It's respectful but unflinching, forcing you to confront the brutality. The historical context also amplifies the horror. The DLC shows this through NPC begging for food or ranting about the police. It's not just Jack's killing that disturbs, it's the sense that London's rotting from within and no one's coming to save it. This backdrop makes the DLC feel like a true crime documentary crossed with a horror game. So why the DLC one of the most disturbing in gaming history? First, it's a real-world horror using actual Ripper victims, and historical details make every murder feel too real. Second, Jack's psychological depth. He's not just evil, he's a broken man, makes him terrifyingly human. Third, the Asylum visceral horror, with its screams and gore, pushes the game into Silent Hill territories. Finally, the story's emotional toll, Evie's guilt, Jacob's trauma, Whitechapel's despair, leaves you gutted. Unlike other DLC, Jack the Ripper doesn't pull punches. It's not about epic battles or cool gadgets. It's about failure, loss, and cost of violence. The muted color palette, haunting soundtrack, and relentless tension make it feel like a horror game in an Assassin's Creed skin. Even years later, it sticks with you, like a blade in the dark. Well, see you in the next video. Bye.